This video is based on AppInternals REST API workshop that was delivered internally. I hope that the video and the Postman file will be useful. With SteelCentral REST API, you can send requests to SteelCentral and receive performance data. The idea here is to give you access to a lot of the information you see in the UI, in tables, and other cards. We will be showing the usage with Postman, but with the AppInternals REST API, you can use scripts and programs to access data. We have metric resources that return data from the analysis server. We have metrics to get summarized and time series metric values, delay metrics to get summarized and time series delay metric values, and top-end metrics to get metric values for top-end objects. We also have helper resources. With applications, you get the list of configured applications and their IDs. With metric names, you get a list of metrics and their description. With object categories, you get a list of object categories and the metrics. Software version give you the version of the analysis server. Statistics give you a list of statistics like mean, max, average, count. And transaction types gives you the list of configured transactions. All this is done with JSON format. For the most current information, please refer to the documentation. For our demonstration, we're going to use SteelCentral.net. This was a pre-built environment that was built for my workshop. There is a JSON file for Postman, and we'll use the specific time that the lab was running. The idea here is that we want to guarantee consistent results. So the results you get when you run the request are the same as what I'm getting on the screen. When specifying start time, we'll be using Unix time. You can use the following converter when experimenting in your environments. Let's start. We switch to Postman and import the JSON file that is attached to the Splash article. We click on the collection and get a list of requests. The get methods are the helper methods, and the post methods are the login and the request for data. Let's click on the login request. Every request has a method, get or post, has a URL, has header, which is typically application JSON, and a body. In the case of login, we need to give username, password, and the company ID. In this case, this is one of the test users that I used. I'm going to use the honor system here and ask that you don't change the details. We press send, and this is the response. We can now have a look at the helper methods. The helper methods are a simple get. We get the software version, in this case 10.14. We get a list of applications. In this case, I have only two, TradeFast and Tomcat. Notice the application ID. We'll be referencing it with our requests. We get a list of metric names. You can see the name, description, as well as units. We can get the object categories, application ID, transaction type ID, server, instance, and all the metrics that we have for every object. We get a list of statistics, mean, max, average, etc. And get a list of transaction types. Note the transaction ID that will be used as reference when we filter by transaction. We'll start with our first example, delay metrics filtered by transaction types. Note that the transaction we'll be using is login, which has ID 3. This is similar to us going to the UI and either filtering or clicking on the login transaction and looking at server delay information. We'll do the same with REST API. In the transaction body, notice the start time, the duration, and in this case, we're choosing time series equals false. There's also grouping by category, number of results, and including other or including remote equals false, which is similar to what we had in the UI. We click send, and we get the same result as the UI. Now let's look at metrics example. In this case, metrics filtered by application. This is similar to us going to the UI and either selecting or filtering on application. In this case, let's filter on TradeFast. We want to get the metrics that we see in the table. Let's run the same example with REST API. Note the request body details, especially the application ID, and under metric statistics pairs is the information that we want to get. Click send, and we get the same information as we did in the UI. From here, you can follow the rest of the examples. Just click on a request, click send, and scroll down to see the result. Please make sure you run the login request once before running any other requests. I hope you find this article and video useful. Thank you very much for your time.